I'm going to spend the next 10, 15 minutes to talk about how we as EDO people have decided to eliminate irregular migration and human trafficking. And the import of this conversation is exactly what the Vice President's office has been trying to do. Try to repair the social fabric of this country. We as a state, we as a people, have had the misfortunes of having to deal with the challenges of a failed society, of failed administrations from the past, and our young ones today are paying the price for it. So for us, human trafficking and irregular migration is costing us too much. Edo State has been dubbed the home of human trafficking. We are not only a source, but we are also a destination. And approximately 60% of all the returnees are from Edo State. In thinking about the root causes, we found out from the data which we have collected from 3,300 returnees that most of them are under the age of 40. And this is the most critical part of our workforce. 77% of the males who were asked, why did you decide to leave, said that it was as a result of economic pressures, while 53% of the girls said it was also as a result of economic pressures. Only 13% and 19% of the females said it was as a result of family pressure. So for us in Edo State, we have decided that we should couch our whole development agenda around the issue of migration. And what we've done is to look at migration from 4 areas. First, for those who have left and are being forced back home, how do we receive them? How do we accommodate them? How do we reintegrate them into our society? For those who want to come back, how do we create an environment for them to? But more importantly, what do we do to reduce the irregular migration? What do we do to stop people from being trafficked? What do we do to stop people from believing that anywhere else but home, but Edo is a better place? And the third is, okay, for those who have been tricked, who have been trafficked, which is an offense, how do we ensure we strengthen our justice system to take care of this, the human traffickers? But lastly, we cannot talk about human trafficking or irregular migration without looking at the role of government. If government did what they're supposed to do, if they provided the services for the people, particularly in the hinterlands, in the interiors, will they not stay back home? So, Mr. Vice President, what the takeaway for us today is that as a state, we are trying to get to the root causes of trafficking. And what we have decided to do is to engage at the ward level. And we are now creating what we call ward development committees that is populated by people who reside in their domains, in their wards. We get feedback from them. They tell us exactly what their development priorities are, and we couch their needs, be it schools, be it roads, be it infrastructure. We design what we believe the peculiar ward needs, and we then have a policy implementation structure. We are also working with your platform on how to get embedded and distributed power, because one of the reasons why people don't stay in their local governments, in their towns, is because most of these communities are not lit up. In fact, we just got data from our analysis that 49 communities in their local governments have never had access to electricity. Therefore, people are not going to live there. They want to leave. They want to migrate. We also found out that the destruction of our educational system, particularly basic education, is one of the root causes why people go through the school system and they do not receive any education. So they graduate from basic school, secondary school, and they are almost unemployable. And because they cannot find work, because they are not properly trained, they decide to migrate. And so what we've done is to respond by introducing what we call EDO Best, which is a system where we now use technology to track the performance of our teachers and our pupils in their schools at the primary school level. We've done a pilot of 300 schools, 2,000 teachers, and we expect that by the grace of God we'll roll out throughout all the primary schools in Edo State within the next 18 months. We are also ensuring that we improve the healthcare system, and we're emphasizing primary healthcare. Primary healthcare units in every community has water and electricity, and we're able to put in there some technology such that when people go to their primary healthcare centers to complain about ailments, first they get attended to because we have well-trained nurses manning those centers, but more importantly, their cases are logged so that we have data, we have an idea of what diseases people are complaining about or have reported at that level. And then lastly, we have to create jobs for our youths. And that is one reason why we're very aligned to your program, particularly the Empower program. We are emphasizing technical education. We are emphasizing technical vocational education. And to that extent, we have started the revamping of our technical schools. We have argued in Edo State that if we have 100 naira to spend on education, 40 of that 100 will be spent on basic education, and 30 will be spent on technical and vocational education. That is the future, so that people can be properly trained, properly educated, and educated for work, not for certificates. We have created the EDO job portal, and today we have registered over 200,000 people looking for work, and we are trying to ensure that that portal talks to the Empower portal. We are also encouraging young ones to participate in agriculture, and we thank the central bank and the federal government for the policies they have in place. And so today we have what we call the agripreneur schemes, where we are pairing people who want to participate in agriculture with off-takers. Agriculture is a business. It's not a social service. So we as a government have banking off-takers, and we are now preparing agripreneurs to support and supply them. And lastly, we are creating skill acquisition centers, and very shortly you're going to go across the road to see, thanks to your initiative again, what we in Edo State have done with technology by creating an innovation hub. First in Benin City, it's the largest innovation hub in South Nigeria, and we're going to expand across our state. So when you go across the road, you will see what we call Edo Innovates. We want to thank you for what you have done for your programs, and Empower, the JEEP, the school feeding program, and we will be, up till now, we were not too sure about how to implement the school feeding program, but we have identified that we have to keep our children in schools, particularly in the areas that are most endemic and most prone to trafficking. And so to that extent, we have decided as a state that we will roll out the school feeding program starting from Ohode, Oriono, the Ovias, and then the rest of the state. So for us as a government, we have outlined our development agenda in our 6 pillars. We have human trafficking as our main challenge, but the opportunity we see working with government, the federal government, is to couch a whole recovery efforts, a whole development agenda around the theme of trying to stop our young people from leaving. And we're very, very happy to inform His Excellency that we have gotten tremendous support from foreign countries, particularly the European Union, the World Bank, and other multilateral agencies, UN agencies. And what we're striving to do is to align our development strategy with that of the federal government. And so our request first is for understanding in terms of our programs, in terms of how we have decided to couch our development agenda, and to seek a special case for increased social investment program funding for Edo State to support our programs for migration for development. We are already in discussions, and we hope to get a lot more support in our all-palm agenda. We have started to resuscitate rubber plantations in Edo State. Thank you very much for helping us do the groundbreaking of the Benin Industrial Park. The first companies hopefully will open shop there summer of next year. And by the grace of God, the Benin River Port, which we have now finalized the feasibility study, hopefully should take off before 2020. We believe that once we are aligned with your programs, it will reduce duplication, we'll get value for money, and we'll be able to maximize our outcomes. We want to thank you very much for this visit. We want to thank you for what you have done with your programs. We want to thank you for restoring hope. And once again, on behalf of the people of Edo State, we thank you and thank our president. Thank you, sir.